Admiral Jessica Thompson had never seen her daughter look so happy. Katie's wedding reception was everything they'd hoped for. The Mountain View Resort's glass dome, offering a spectacular view of the Colorado sunset. The string quartet played softly as guests mingled, their laughter mixing with the gentle clink of champagne glasses. "I still can't believe my little girl's all grown up," Jessica said, watching Katie dance with her new husband. Her own husband, Robert, squeezed her hand. "She'll always be your little girl," he replied, "even if she is now Lieutenant Katie Marshall." The moment shattered as Jessica's neural implant flared to life, military override protocols burning through her privacy settings. The message was 4 words that made her blood run cold. New Eden is gone. She maintained her composure, years of command experience taking over. "Robert, I need you to make my excuses to Katie. Something's happened." Her husband saw the look in her eyes and simply nodded. After 20 years of marriage to a fleet admiral, he knew that expression. The resort's secure communication room was already prepped when she arrived. The holographic display showed New Eden's star system, but where the colony's orbital markers should have been, there were only red warning icons. "Report," she commanded, and the room's AI responded immediately. At 3:47 Earth Standard Time, New Eden's automated defense grid detected multiple unknown vessels entering the system. Final transmission from the colony followed at 3:49 EST. No further communications have been received. The display shifted, showing the last images captured by the colony's defense satellites. Jessica's breath caught in her throat. The unknown ships were like nothing in any human database, massive crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, their surfaces refracting the starlight into rainbow patterns. Then the recording showed the weapons fire, beams of energy that didn't so much destroy as unmake whatever they touched. The colony shields, among the strongest in human space, lasted seconds. Then the buildings began to fall. The final transmission cut in. Governor Michael Harrison's face appeared, the normally composed man looking shaken, as alarms blared behind him. "This is Governor Harrison of New Eden. We are under attack by unknown forces. Our weapons are ineffective. The shields." An explosion rocked the camera. "The shields are gone. To anyone who receives this, don't let us be forgotten." And to Earth, they knew exactly where to hit us. They knew our defenses. This wasn't random. The transmission cut to static. Jessica gripped the edge of the display table, her knuckles white. Population of New Eden: 15,200,412 registered citizens. As of last census, the AI responded, including 3,000 fleet personnel and their families. She closed her eyes for a moment. New Eden had been humanity's pride, their first colony beyond 100 light-years from Earth, a symbol of their expansion into the galaxy. Now, time for this message to reach Earth. 3 weeks at current FTL communication speeds. Admiral, I should note that the attack occurred precisely when New Eden's position in its orbit would ensure maximum light delay for any distress signals to reach other human settlements. That confirmed Harrison's last words. This wasn't a random attack. The enemy, whoever they were, had studied human space, had planned this. Connect me to Fleet Command. Priority Alpha. And she paused, looking at the frozen image of the crystalline ships. Begin analysis of their weapon signatures. I want to know everything about these bastards before I brief the council. As the AI acknowledged her orders, Jessica took one last look at the reception through the room's window. Katie was laughing as she cut the cake with her new husband, unaware that her mother was watching the beginning of a war. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," Jessica whispered, "but I don't think any of yous are going to be laughing for a while." Captain Ryan Davidson stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, his hands clenched behind his back as the ship dropped out of FTL. The crew had been silent during the 3-day journey, each lost in their own thoughts about what they might find at New Eden. Now, as the colony's star came into view, that silence became something heavier. Thermal readings are strange, sir, Lieutenant Maria Torres reported from her station. The entire colony surface is registering at near uniform temperature. That's not natural. Ryan nodded, but his eyes were fixed on the main display. New Eden had been a jewel, its terraformed surface a mix of urban centers and carefully cultivated wilderness. Now, magnification times 10, he ordered, his voice rough. The display zoomed in, and several bridge crew members gasped. Where cities had stood, there were now vast fields of obsidian glass, the surface twisted into unnatural patterns that hurt the eyes to look at. Launch survey drones, Ryan commanded. Full spectrum analysis. And get me a direct feed from the colony's primary landing zone. That's where Tommy would have been, he thought. His brother had been New Eden's chief of emergency services, always at the heart of any crisis. The drone's data began flowing in, and the ship's AI compiled it into a holographic display above the bridge's central platform. The results were worse than anyone had imagined. Captain, the AI's voice was artificially calm. I'm detecting quantum resonance patterns consistent with theoretical matter destabilization weapons. The attacking forces didn't just bombard the colony, they systematically unraveled its atomic structure. Ryan felt his stomach turn. Casualties. Total, sir. The weapons appear to have been calibrated specifically to target structures containing human DNA. The pattern suggests. The AI paused, which it never did. The pattern suggests the weapons were designed explicitly for use against human settlements. Commander Jack Wilson, the ship's XO, stepped forward. That's impossible. No one has that kind of technology. And even if they did, how would they know enough about human biology to? They'd been watching us, Ryan cut him off. Studying us, learning how to kill us most efficiently. He turned to communications. Get me a channel to Earth Command. Priority 1. Sir, Torres called out, her voice shaking. I'm picking up something from the surface. It's a personal beacon. Ryan's heart jumped. Location. Emergency Services Headquarters. It's badly degraded, but put it through. The bridge speakers crackled, and through the static came a voice Ryan had known all his life. This is Chief Thomas Davidson. The crystal ships. They're not just attacking. They're testing something. Each weapon hit is different. They're experimenting. If anyone finds this, tell Earth. Tell them they knew exactly what they were doing. Tell my brother. The message cut off in a burst of static. Ryan stood perfectly still, his face a mask. Time stamp on that message. 6 weeks ago, sir, during the initial attack. The bridge was silent again, but this time it was the silence of contained rage. Every person there had known someone on New Eden. Now they knew it wasn't just an attack. It was a clinical test of weapons designed to erase humanity. Lieutenant Torres, complete the scans. I want every piece of data about those weapons. Commander Wilson, prepare my report to Earth Command. Ryan's voice was steel. 4 words only. They knew we're human. As the crew moved to comply, Ryan stared at the ruined world below. Tommy had a wife, 2 kids. They'd been planning to visit Earth next month for their parents' anniversary. Now they were just part of the glassy surface below, their atoms scattered by weapons made specifically to kill them. Commander, Ryan said quietly, add a personal note to my report. Tell Admiral Thompson that when we find these bastards, I want the Pathfinder on the front line. The ships that did this were still out there, probably moving on to their next target. But they'd made a mistake. They'd shown humanity exactly what they were capable of. And in doing so, They'd given Earth a reason to unleash everything it had been holding back. Ryan looked once more at the ruins of New Eden. "We're going to make them regret being so thorough with their tests," he whispered. "I promise you that, Tommy." General Amanda Foster's security clearance was so high that most people who knew it existed thought it was a myth. Today, she used it to enter a facility that officially didn't exist, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, past the public military bases and tourist attractions. Security Protocol 7 Alpha 9. She spoke to the empty air as the elevator descended. Authorization Foster Omega 01. Voice print and DNA confirmed. The facility's AI responded. "Welcome back, General. It's been 3 years, 4 months since your last visit." Amanda nodded to the empty air. "Never thought I'd be back. Hoped I wouldn't have to be." She stepped out into a vast chamber that had been her second home for 20 years before retirement. Display current status of all Lazarus facilities. The chamber's walls lit up with holographic displays, showing hundreds of location markers throughout the solar system. Deep in Mercury's crust, hidden in Venus's crushing atmosphere, buried in Mars's polar ice, and scattered throughout the asteroid belt, humanity's greatest secret. Colonel James Martinez, her successor as director of the Lazarus Protocol, met her at the Central Command Station. "All facilities report ready, ma'am. We've been running silent diagnostics since the New Eden attack." "Show me the production estimates," Amanda ordered, her eyes scanning the data streams. The numbers were staggering. Even after 3 centuries of secret construction and preparation, they still took her breath away. "Mercury facilities can begin immediate production using solar power and local materials," James reported. "Mars shipyards are ready for hull assembly. The asteroid belt factories." He paused, double-checking the figures. "They can start weapons production within hours." Amanda placed her hand on the main control panel, where a single crystal key waited. "You know, James, when we started this project 300 years ago, people called us paranoid. Said we were wasting resources preparing for a threat that might never come." She turned to face the younger officer. "My great-grandmother helped design the first facilities. Every generation of my family has served as caretakers, updating the technology, expanding the network. I used to lie awake at night, wondering if we were just feeding our fears." The displays showed a real-time image of New Eden, its surface now a testament to the reality of those fears. James stepped forward. "They weren't ready for us to have this, were they?" "No." Amanda allowed herself a grim smile. "The crystalline hierarchy thinks they caught us unprepared. They have no idea that we've been preparing for something like them since we first looked up at the stars and wondered what might look back." She inserted the crystal key. Around the solar system, hidden doors began to open. Beneath Mercury's surface, vast forges powered up. In the asteroid belt, automated mining ships activated. On Mars, assembly lines longer than cities hummed to life. "Begin production sequence," Amanda commanded. "Full activation of all facilities. Authorization code. Remember New Eden." The chamber erupted with activity as status reports flooded in. James watched in awe as the hidden industry of an entire solar system awakened. Production estimates show first wave of ships ready in 8 weeks. Full fleet. He checked the numbers again. 700,000 ships in 6 months. Amanda watched the displays, remembering all the years of secret work, all the resources hidden away, all the questions from those who thought they were being too cautious. "Send word to Fleet Command. Tell them Lazarus is awake." She turned to leave, then paused. "James, do you know why we called it the Lazarus Protocol? Biblical reference, isn't it? The man who rose from the dead." "Partially. But it's more than that. Lazarus wasn't just resurrected. He came back changed. Different. Stronger." She looked at the displays one last time. "When we're done, humanity will be changed too. And God help anyone who thought they could exterminate us. As she left the chamber, the first wave of mining drones was already launching from their hidden bases. The hierarchy had wanted to see what humanity was capable of. They were about to find out just how prepared their victims had been. Director of Intelligence William Cooper stood before the United Earth government's emergency session, his normally pristine uniform wrinkled from 72 hours without sleep. The circular chamber was packed. Every council member from every colony had been recalled to Earth for this meeting. 6 hours ago, he began, his voice carrying through the silent chamber. We received this transmission. It was broadcast simultaneously to every human settlement within 500 light years. He nodded to his aide, and the chamber's holographic display activated. The image that appeared made several council members gasp. A being made of living crystal hovered in the display, its faceted form refracting light in impossible ways. When it spoke, its voice was like wind through glass. People of Earth and her colonies, we are the crystalline hierarchy. Your species has been evaluated and found wanting. Your aggressive expansion and technological development represent an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The being's form shifted, showing images of other worlds, all reduced to the same glassy waste as New Eden. You are not the first species to require our intervention. Each of these civilizations chose to resist our guidance. Each was given the same choice we now offer you. Council leader Emily Taylor leaned forward, her knuckles white, as she gripped her chair's arms. They're showing us, their other victims, she whispered. They're proud of it. The crystal being continued. Submit to protective oversight. Allow us to guide your development. Accept restrictions on your technology and expansion. This is not negotiable. You have witnessed our power at New Eden. That was a demonstration, a taste of what awaits should you choose poorly. Cooper paused the transmission. We've confirmed similar messages were sent to at least 3 other species in neighboring sectors. The hierarchy is launching a coordinated campaign of subjugation. How many colonies have they hit? Asked Representative Michael Chen from Mars. Besides New Eden, we've confirmed attacks on 7 other non-human worlds. Their pattern suggests they're testing different weapon configurations against various species. The chamber erupted in angry murmurs. Cooper raised his hand for silence. There's more. Before I play the rest of Governor Harrison's message, I should warn you, this isn't easy to watch. The display changed to show New Eden's last moments. Governor Harrison's face was streaked with blood, but his voice was steady. They're not just killing us. They're studying us. Each weapon strike is different. They're learning how to kill humans most efficiently. Don't let them use this knowledge. Don't let them. The recording ended in static. Emily Taylor stood, her voice cutting through the shocked silence. Director Cooper, what are our options? The Lazarus Protocol has been activated. Our hidden shipyards are already at full production. But, he paused, looking each council member in the eye. Even with everything we've prepared, this will be a fight for survival. A hierarchy's technology is centuries beyond ours. Representative Chen stood. So you're saying we can't win? I'm saying we can't win a conventional war. But they've made 3 critical mistakes. First, they showed us their weapons, giving us data we can use. Second, they revealed their strategy by attacking multiple species simultaneously, stretching their forces thin. And the third mistake, Emily asked. They thought killing our people would break us. Instead, they've united us like nothing in human history. The chamber was silent as the council members looked at each other. Generations of political rivalries and colonial disputes seemed to fade away under the weight of their shared threat. Emily Taylor straightened her shoulders. I move for an immediate vote. The options are simple. Submit to the hierarchy's demands or fight. The vote took less than a minute. It was unanimous. Emily's response to the hierarchy would be remembered for centuries. We don't kneel. We don't break. And we're coming for you. Humanity has watched the stars for centuries, wondering if we were alone. Now we know we're not. And now you'll learn why we built our ships with weapons even before we met you." As the council chamber emptied, Cooper received a message from General Foster. "Lazarus is awake. God help them all." Chief Engineer Thomas Anderson stood in the observation dome of the Mars shipyards, watching as the first dreadnought took shape in the massive construction cradle. Behind him, holographic displays showed similar scenes from Mercury's forges and the asteroid belt's assembly lines. "Hull stress tests are complete on the prototype," his assistant, Dr. Rebecca Hayes, reported. "The layered titanium graphene composite is showing 40% better resistance to their matter disruption weapons than we predicted." Thomas nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive ship below. The hierarchy had expected humanity to try matching their advanced technology. Instead, they'd gone in the opposite direction. Simple, reliable, and overwhelmingly powerful. "Show me the weapon loadout for the Thanatos class," he requested. The holographic display shifted, showing a cutaway of the 2-kilometer-long warship. "Primary armament: triple-mounted electromagnetic accelerator cannons," Rebecca listed, "each capable of launching a 20-ton tungsten rod at 0.1 light speed. Secondary arrays: 48 nuclear torpedo tubes, 600-point defense lasers, and the new Stalwart shield system." Thomas touched the display, zooming in on the shield emitters. "The hierarchy thinks their quantum weapons make them invincible. But you can't disrupt matter if you can't hit it. How's the testing on the multi-layer shields?" "Better than expected." Rebecca pulled up the combat simulation data. "The outer layer absorbs the initial strike, while the inner layers disperse the quantum effect. We're taking a page from Earth's atmosphere. Multiple weak layers work better than one strong one." The factory floor below hummed with activity as automated systems assembled another hull section. Thomas had designed the production lines to work in parallel. While one section was being built, others were already being armed and armored. Production report from the Mercury yards. The AI announced, "First battle group of 20,000 ships will be complete in 3 weeks. Asteroid belt facilities report ammunition production is exceeding estimates by 12%. Thomas allowed himself a grim smile. The hierarchy had studied human biology, learned how to kill them efficiently. But they'd never bothered to study human history. They didn't understand what happened when humanity's back was against the wall. "Dr. Hayes, show me the crew compartment designs," he requested. The display changed again, showing the internal layout of the ships. "We're not just building weapons, we're building homes for our crews. They need to know these ships will keep them alive long enough to fight back." Rebecca nodded, understanding. Every engineer in the project had lost someone at New Eden. They'd poured that pain into their work, creating ships that were more than just weapons platforms. They were humanity's shield and sword combined. "Sir," the AI interrupted. "Admiral Thompson is requesting an update on the Cobra-class stealth frigates." Thomas brought up the smaller ship's schematics. The Cobra was everything the dreadnoughts weren't. Small, fast, and nearly invisible to sensors. While the big ships would draw the enemy's fire, the Cobras would slip through their lines with their cargo of specially designed nuclear weapons. "Tell her the first squadron will be ready for trials next week, and send her the data on the new warhead design, the one that mimics their own quantum weapons." Rebecca looked up from her display. "Sir, the latest production estimates are in. At current rates, we'll have 100,000 ships ready in 2 months." Thomas watched as another hull section moved into place below. The hierarchy had expected them to build advanced ships to match their technology. Instead, humanity had chosen a different path. Overwhelming force combined with time-tested engineering. "They think they're superior because their technology is more advanced," he said quietly. "But they don't understand. Humanity didn't survive this long by being the strongest or the most advanced. We survived because we never, ever stopped adapting. The dreadnought below was nearly complete, its dark hull bristling with weapons. It wasn't beautiful like the hierarchy's crystal ships. It was functional, practical, and built for one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival at any cost. "Send word to all production facilities," Thomas ordered. "Tell them to push the schedule harder. The sooner we get these ships into space, the sooner we can show the hierarchy why you don't corner a species that spent its entire history learning how to fight back." Commander Rachel Mitchell watched through the observation window as 5,000 recruits underwent neural interface training. The massive training center, built inside an excavated mountain in the Rockies, hummed with the energy of thousands of minds learning years of combat experience in weeks. "Status report on Training Group 7, she asked, and the facility's AI responded immediately. 87% success rate on advanced combat scenarios. Notable performance from former school teacher Kevin Turner in Simulation Pod 17. He's currently running his 9th consecutive victory against multiple hierarchy ship configurations." Rachel moved to Pod 17's monitoring station. The neural interface showed Turner's brain activity as he maneuvered his virtual ship through a storm of enemy fire. His tactics were unusual. "Show me what he's doing," she ordered. The main display lit up with his simulation feed. Turner was using his ship's damaged sections as improvised weapons, deliberately taking hits to create debris fields that confused enemy targeting systems. "Get me his background," Rachel said, watching as Turner's virtual ship tore through 3 hierarchy vessels. Kevin Turner, age 32. Former high school physics teacher from Armstrong City, Mars. Sister and brother-in-law were among the New Eden casualties. Volunteered on day 1 of the call to arms. Notes from his basic training instructor say he has an unconventional but highly effective approach to combat tactics. The simulation ended with Turner's victory. Rachel ordered the pod opened and walked over as the teacher-turned-warrior removed his neural interface. "That was impressive flying, Mr. Turner," she said, "especially for someone who's never been in real combat." Turner's eyes were hard, despite his tired smile. "With respect, Commander, I've been fighting these battles in my head since New Eden. The neural interface just lets me show everyone else what I've been planning." Rachel nodded, understanding. Every recruit had a similar story, a personal connection to the loss that had brought them here. The neural interfaces weren't just teaching them to fight. They were channeling their grief and rage into tactical brilliance. "Lieutenant Carson," she called to her aide, "upload Mr. Turner's tactics to the combat database. Tag it for distribution to all training groups. We need everyone thinking outside traditional combat parameters." Across the facility, similar scenes were playing out. A former construction worker had developed new approaches to using industrial equipment as weapons. A video game designer had created revolutionary squadron formations. A retired police officer had invented new close-quarter space combat techniques. "Commander," the AI interrupted. "Admiral Thompson is requesting today's training statistics." Rachel pulled up the numbers on her neural display. 2 billion volunteers processed so far. First wave of 400,000 crews will complete training in 3 weeks. Combat effectiveness ratings are 30% above projected requirements. She paused, then added, "And tell her about Turner's results. His approach could change our entire combat doctrine." The training center's main hall was filled with the next group of recruits, each waiting for their neural interface assignment. Rachel saw the same look in all their eyes, a mix of fear, determination, and something deeper, something that the hierarchy, for all their advanced technology, had failed to account for. "They think they can break us," she muttered, watching as Turner began teaching his techniques to a group of fellow trainees. "But they don't understand what they've done. Every person here has lost someone. Every neural upload carries the memory of New Eden. We're not just training soldiers. We're creating warriors with a purpose." The AI chimed in with another update. Training Group H shows similar adaptability. It appears the shared experience of loss is creating unprecedented levels of innovation in combat tactics. Rachel watched as another simulation pod lit up with success indicators. The hierarchy had given humanity something they'd never had before: a common enemy, a shared pain, and an unshakable purpose. "Update the training protocols," she ordered. "Tell every recruit their pain is now their weapon. Their loss is their strength. And when we launch this fleet, the hierarchy will learn what happens when you push humanity past its breaking point." Admiral Jessica Thompson stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, her eyes taking in the vast holographic display of the solar system. 700,000 ships moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting the light of Sol one last time before jump. "All battle groups report ready, Admiral," Commander David Rodriguez announced from his station. "Targeting data from Deep Space Reconnaissance has been distributed to all fleet commands." Jessica nodded, her hand resting on the command pedestal. The hierarchy had 7 major staging areas, each preparing for further attacks on both human and alien worlds. In 6 hours, those staging areas would learn the true cost of attacking Earth. "Open fleet-wide communication channel," she ordered. As the signal was acknowledged by all 700,000 ships, she took a deep breath. "This is Fleet Admiral Thompson. In 10 minutes, we launched the largest military operation in human history." The bridge was silent as she continued. "The enemy believes they know us. They studied our biology, our weapons, our defenses, but they missed something crucial. They never studied our history, never understood what happens when humanity is pushed too far." Lieutenant Olivia Martinez, commanding the destroyer squadron Swift Justice, watched from her bridge as the Admiral's image filled her command display. She'd lost her entire extended family on New Eden. Now her squadron of Cobra-class stealth ships carried special weapons designed to return the favor. "Battle Group Alpha will strike the hierarchy's main fleet base in the Orion Spur," Jessica continued. "Beta through Gamma will hit their supporting staging areas. We strike every target simultaneously, overwhelming their ability to coordinate a response." Captain Ryan Davidson, now commanding the heavy cruiser UES Vindication, checked his weapon systems one last time. The ship's AI had integrated his brother's last message from New Eden into its combat protocols. Every shot would carry Tommy's name. "The enemy's quantum weapons are devastating," Jessica acknowledged. "Our projections show heavy casualties, possibly as high as 70%. But every ship has been built with one purpose: to ensure that humanity survives, no matter the cost." In the engine control room of the dreadnought UES Defiant, Chief Engineer Marcus Wong made final adjustments to the new shield harmonics. They'd learned from New Eden's fall, adapted their defenses. The hierarchy's weapons wouldn't find such easy targets this time. "Each of you carries the memory of New Eden." Jessica's voice filled every ship, every compartment. "Each of you has lost someone to their weapons. Today, we make sure they understand the cost of those actions." Commander Rachel Mitchell, leading a wing of assault carriers, watched her neural-enhanced crews make final preparations. Former teacher Kevin Turner's combat techniques had been distributed throughout the fleet. The hierarchy was about to face an enemy that fought like nothing they'd ever seen. "Battle group assignments are being transmitted now," Jessica continued. "The enemy believes they can predict our tactics based on their study of our technology. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our unpredictability." The massive fleet began to split into 7 distinct formations. Each battle group was a mix of ship types: dreadnoughts to draw fire, cobras to strike from stealth, carriers to launch fighter swarms, and cruisers to provide coordinated support. "The hierarchy thought killing our families would break us." Jessica's voice hardened. "Instead, they united humanity like nothing in our history." Every ship in this fleet carries the names of those we lost. Every weapon bears the weight of our promise. Never again. The fleet's formation was complete. 700,000 ships, ready to jump to 7 different targets. The largest coordinated military strike ever attempted by any species. All ships, begin jump countdown, Jessica ordered. Remember, the hierarchy believes they know how to kill humans. Today, we show them how humans fight back. For Earth, for New Eden, for every species they threatened. Launch. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as the massive fleet prepared to jump. In 10 seconds, the galaxy would learn why you don't push a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment. May God have mercy on their souls, Jessica whispered as the jump countdown reached 0. Because we won't. The Battle of 7 Fronts began with a flash as humanity's fleet materialized across 7 star systems simultaneously. Admiral Jessica Thompson watched from the bridge of the Retribution as the first salvos lit up space around them. Multiple hierarchy capital ships detected, Commander Rodriguez reported. They're launching quantum disruptors, just as we expected. The hierarchy's crystal ships were beautiful in their devastation, their weapons unmaking matter itself. But this time, humanity was ready. The stalwart shield systems, designed by Thomas Anderson's team, split into multiple layers, dispersing the quantum effects. Launch Operation Vengeance, Jessica ordered. All ships, execute Combat Plan Turner 7. Across the battlefield, humanity's fleet moved in ways the hierarchy had never seen. Former teacher Kevin Turner's unconventional tactics, enhanced by neural-linked crews, turned apparent retreats into deadly traps. Damaged ships became weapons, their debris fields confusing the crystal ships' targeting systems. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez's stealth squadron struck from the shadows, their special warheads, designed to mimic the hierarchy's own quantum weapons, shattering crystal ships from within. This is for New Eden, she whispered as another enemy capital ship shattered. Captain Ryan Davidson led his cruiser squadron straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Combat I. Execute Revenge Protocol Tommy 1, he commanded. His brother's final warning about the enemy's weapons had led to this strategy, using the hierarchy's own attack patterns against them. Sir, his tactical officer called out, they're adapting their shields to our weapons. Just as planned, Ryan smiled grimly. Signal the Cobras. Begin Phase 2. Across all 7 battlefronts, the same scene played out. The hierarchy's ships would adapt to one human tactic, only to be struck by 3 more they'd never seen. Each human ship fought with the accumulated knowledge of 3 centuries of warfare, enhanced by neural links and driven by personal vengeance. Commander Rachel Mitchell's carriers launched swarms of fighters, each pilot's neural interface, giving them reaction times the enemy couldn't match. Remember your training, she broadcast to her wings. Make every shot count. A hierarchy's command structure, used to rigid order and predictable tactics, began to crumble. Their ships, individually more powerful than any human vessel, found themselves surrounded by enemies that fought like forces of nature, unpredictable, relentless, and everywhere at once. They're trying to regroup, Rodriguez reported, attempting to concentrate their forces. Perfect, Jessica responded. Signal General Foster. Execute Lazarus Strike. From the edge of each battlefield, a new wave of ships appeared, the last of humanity's hidden fleet, held in reserve for this moment. As the hierarchy forces clustered together, they presented perfect targets for the mass driver attacks that former construction worker John Peters had suggested, turning asteroids into relativistic weapons. The hierarchy's supreme commander, its crystalline form flickering with confusion, appeared on the fleet's communication channels. This is impossible. We study your species. We knew your capabilities. No, Jessica responded, her voice carrying across all 7 battlefields. You studied our biology. You learned how to kill us, but you never understood what makes us human. We don't just fight. We learn, we adapt, we overcome, and we never fight harder than when we're protecting others. She nodded to Rodriguez, who transmitted the final battle data. Images of the other species the hierarchy had attacked, all now being protected by human battle groups. Your choice is simple, Jessica continued. Unconditional surrender, or we finish this. And unlike you, we don't need to study how to end a species. We've spent our entire history learning how to win against superior forces. The Battle of 7 Fronts ended not with a final shot, but with the hierarchy's surrender. In the ruins of their central command, Jessica delivered humanity's terms. We will defend any species you threatened, not because we have to, but because protecting the innocent is what humans do. Remember that the next time you think about committing genocide. As the human fleet regrouped, a message spread through the galaxy. A new power had risen, one that would stand against any who threatened the weak. The hierarchy had wanted to see what humanity was capable of. They'd learned, and they would never forget.